Hi, today I want to take a little detour. I talk a lot about neurologically-focused chiropractic care. I talk about hope, I talk about answers for kids, and all those problematic things that they go through, whether it's, colic or constipation or anxiety or asthma, or ADHD or autism. There's a lot of things that having a tuned up nervous system can absolutely help. But that's not how I got here. So I kind of wanted to share that story with everyone today and put that out there. When I had started chiropractic school and I was learning, the musculoskeletal problems and back pain, then the headaches and what all we could do to adjust to relieve interference off of a nerve to allow the body to heal itself from the inside out, which I kind of understood, but I didn't really know or believe. I had back pain before, 6 years before I went to school. I had debilitating back pain, got sent to a chiropractor. Someone asked me if I had tried chiropractic care, and I said no. I'd had a DO that had manipulated me multiple times and had helped me out with some low back pain early on when I was 15 or so. But this was a little bit different, and I knew I needed somebody else to look at this. So go to this chiropractor. He starts adjusting me. I start to feel a lot better. I go through the whole care plan. That was the key, the whole care plan. And got to finish that and really heal up from this and really not have as many low back issues. Now, I get to chiropractic school and I have a wiener dog, and this dog who loves me, he's a little bit overweight, and he has an older sister. So this is Belle and Sebastian, my dog. The story of Sebastian. So one day I finish mowing the lawn and I come inside and I see my puppy dogs and I say, all right, who wants to go outside? And of course they get excited. Belle gets up and Sebastian does it. I was like, come on, little buddy, it's time to go. And he tries to get up, and he puts a little weight on his front paws and tries to stand up, and he yelps and he falls down. And I was a good dog owner. I immediately ran over and was like, what's wrong, buddy? And I tried to help him up a little bit. And when I put my hand under his belly, he yelped again. And I was like, oh no. So for the rest of the day, I reached into the medicine cabinet, because that is something that I had done along with a lot of you. We have a symptom, then we reach into the medicine cabinet. If it's pain, we got something for that. If it's a headache, if it's an allergy. And I went through all of that. And I definitely had a big medicine cabinet at the time. And I decided to give this dog, a muscle relaxer, and I gave him some pain medicine. I didn't know what I was doing. I crushed it up, put it in his food. He ate it. It seemed to give him a little bit of relief. And but about midnight, this dog was just whining at me, and that scared me. So I took him to the overnight vet, which, as you can imagine, is really, really expensive. And they did some x-rays, and they said, this dude's got a compression fracture. And a compression fracture is when the vertebra just squishes down. And it's from repeated motion like this over time as those dogs jump down and they overextend their back. And it just puts too much pressure. They overextend and then they flex, and that pressure puts compression into the body of the vertebra. When it does that, he had 2 compression fractures at T12 and 13, and the disc in between herniates. And you guys have heard maybe stenosis and bulging disc, herniated disc, and things like that. Well, this guy had 2 herniated discs. The fluid had gone into the spinal cord, and he was paralyzed. They even used a pair of pliers to squeeze his back toes and his tail to see if he had pain there, which I thought was weird and inhumane, but they did it. And the doctor came out and he said, all right, look, we can do this back surgery. At the time, I'm going to tell my age, but at the time it was only $5,000. And he was like, nah, they have about a 25% success rate. And I thought, no, why would I do that? And so he goes, well, I guess you can put him down. And I was like, but he's still continent and he doesn't have any problem still going to the bathroom. He's just in pain. Can I put him in a cart, or can I, is there something to help me? And this guy was like, no. So many of you are probably like, well, you got some bad advice. So I did my research. I went online. I found this little dude a cart to haul his rear end around. They found me I found a acupuncturist. It was a cat acupuncturist, very specific, and took him over there. They were doing therapy on him. We were just trying to get him out of pain at this point. I had no experience in animal chiropractic. I barely had any regular chiropractic experience at that time. So I'm asking around school, trying to find out if anybody knows what to do with this situation. And obviously I'm distraught because my dog's paralyzed from the waist down. And clinician says, Jason, I have a buddy down in Hurstville. I want you to go see him. And he goes, give him a call. So I show up at his office. I have my dog. And he comes out of his office and he sits down on the floor with me. This is the nature of chiropractors. They're all just big-hearted guys and gals. And he comes out and he sits down on the floor with me and he shows me how to palpate, to feel around, to find subluxation mechanically. And I say, okay. And so we work down through the spine. We give him a couple of adjustments, and he basically taught me how to adjust my dog. And I was like, okay. Well, I'll take that information and move on. And we were in clinic at this time, and I had bought an activator, and so I started using the activator on my dog, kind of above and below where he had experienced his injury. And I'm going to go ahead and fast forward since we're 7 minutes into this thing, but we made it about 10 months. We went about 10 months and he had learned how to use his cart. I had trained him how to use it, and he was pretty comfortable in it and getting around, and he was just happy to be part of the pack again and not stuck in his crate all the time. So he didn't hurt himself because he was dragging himself around, even though he wasn't in pain anymore. And so he was healing, but I never knew if he was going to get anything back. And lo and behold, one day I looked down and I had offered the puppies a treat, and I looked down and his little tail had a wiggle in it. And I still get goosebumps when I tell this story. And I knew in that moment, and I thought, if you can get a signal from the brain to the tail to get a wiggle, we have connection. And if we have connection, we can have healing. And I knew that much. I didn't know as much neurologically focused chiropractic care as I do now. But I knew that if I could continue to remove subluxation in this dog, that he would get better. And sure enough, this is when the extraneous things come around, because I started using different therapies. I put him in a life jacket with a little handle on it. And if you know anything about dogs, they kind of have a natural reflex to want to paddle when you hold them over water. And so I started putting him down into the water and really working on, kicking those feet. And what was cool about this is that you get gross motor movement back first, which means there's no coordination, but he could just fire those big muscles. And so they were uncoordinated, but they were starting to move and kick and move around. Super cool. And so I continued to do this therapy along with the adjustments and the acupuncture. I was doing it all, trying to get this little guy's life back. And I started leaving his feet out of the stirrups so he could put them on the ground while he was pulling himself around on the cart. So he got to do some assisted walking as well. Well, one day we were doing some practice, had him out of his cart, and I was standing him up, and he couldn't stand very well. It was still pretty wobbly back there, but he could straighten those legs out. And I would praise him for it, and he was doing a good job. And about that time, my other dog, Belle, she took off after a rabbit in my backyard, and he saw that, and we had built him this ramp out of the back. I made my house ADA accessible, so that my dog could go up and down all the steps and get in and out of the house just fine. And he takes off running, and he gets to the bottom of the ramp, takes off running across the yard. He makes it about halfway, and then his rear end fell over. I don't know if you've seen Toy Story, but it started to get ahead of him, and then he rolled, and I was yelling at him to stop because I thought he was gonna hurt himself. And when I ran out in the yard and I got right over him, and he looked up at me, and he just had the biggest grin on his face, and he was so excited for what he had just done, and he got back in the chase. And so fast forward another couple of months, that dog was 100%. I kid you not. And we took a little weight off of him and got him even healthier. That dog lived 10 more years. He didn't die till he was 16 back in 2013, and that was a tough loss. But I tell you what, that changed my perspective on health and healing and where it comes from. Because dogs can't complain. They can't whine and moan and tell us all our aches and pains and our headaches and our symptoms and all of these things and try to make sense of it. They just know. I could call this dog with one click of that activator from across the yard. He'd hear that thing. He was like, I'm getting back in Dad's lap because we're about to get an adjustment and get my power turned on and living the good life. And that dog loved it. He loved getting adjusted. And he didn't know anything. He couldn't tell me anything. He just knew that what I was doing was helping him overcome his obstacles. And that's the moment my life changed. That's the moment when chiropractic became very real for me. And I said, if this little dog, 6-year-old overweight wiener dog, could absolutely heal himself from paralysis, from the waist down essentially, then anybody can heal from anything if we remove the interference. And that is 100% what chiropractic is. It's giving an adjustment to reset that nervous system, to allow the body to find balance. Now, I communicate that in a different way these days. And we talk about the autonomic nervous system and fight or flight and speeding up and slowing down and making sure we have balance and all of those things. And I found neurologically focused chiropractic later in my practice. But this was what got me in. I was actually getting ready to go to dental school, following my dad's footsteps. I had an interview, a final interview scheduled. I was first alternate. They were making a decision on the alternate list, and had asked me to come back for a follow-up interview, and I canceled it. And my dad was mad, and he was like, "What are you doing, son?" And I said, "Dad, Sebastian just ran across my backyard." And this is before cell phones and cameras. But that dog ran across the yard, and he goes, there's no way. He had seen him. He knew. And so I took a picture of it. And then I took him home that next weekend on Saturday. This is on a Wednesday. I know that's immaterial. But I took him home, and he looked at that dog, and he was like, that is a miracle. And I said, that is what chiropractic can do. And that is why I'm going to go be the best chiropractor that I can absolutely be. And so that's my message today. I really wanted to just kind of reach out. All chiropractors have a story, and they have sometimes it's stuff that happened to them or their kid or things like that. And I just didn't magically stumble into neurologically focused chiropractic care. I sought it out. Because I knew the power within the body made the body can heal the body. And that's really what it comes down to in really simple terms. The power that made the body heals the body. That's innate intelligence connecting with universal intelligence. And that's the connection we make through the adjustment. And when you do that with love, then you get amazing outcomes. So that's my story about Sebastian and my little pup. I don't have anything else to say. All right, we'll see you guys next time.